All right, welcome back. In this section, we're going to be talking about the creation and inspiration that led to the writing of Akira.
Yeah, that's gonna be focused on Katsuhiro Otomo.
Mhm.
I guess I almost got it right that time. Um, this guy, background for him, he's not so much of a movie director or a movie maker as he was. He left home and went out to start doing comics or manga. He's
Yeah,
always been an illustrator and a comic guy, and the same way that the Dark Tower was kind of that sort of long running project of Stephen King's. That's what Akira was to Otomo.
okay.
Um, he was really heavily influenced by some stuff that happened in the 50s in Japan. I haven't not seen
Clearly,
any of these, but I've looked at pictures of them and stuff, and I'm gonna try to track down some of this old stuff at some point. One of the big ones he mentions is Tetsujin 28. It's about a robot that is built at the end of World War II, but it was meant to be to be used for the war, and then they lost before it could ever get developed. So it was hidden away after their surrender. The doctor that created it passed it on to his 10-year-old into the future. The 10-year-old, when he gets the robot, he uses it to fight crime, and that was a series that took place during the 50s.
this is definitely, I'm looking at it now, and this is definitely one of those. If you're into anime at all, you'll see this. If you don't know Tetsujin 28, which I didn't, when you see the image of the robot, you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know this robot, big blue robot.
and the other main thing that he was kind of influenced by at the same time, and I guess that was probably it was the big property for anybody that was into animation and comics and stuff in the 50s was Astro Boy.
Yeah.
And
Well,
uh,
the director we'll talk about this at another point, but the director of the Metropolis was the guy who made Astro Boy. So
yeah,
yeah, so that's great that he got to work with him. I didn't know he was inspired by that.
the main character from Tetsujin 28 is named Kaneda.
Oh, there you go.
So, and the professor that was the one that created the robot is Shikishima, which is the same name as the Colonel and
Yeah.
Akira. So, and he doesn't like lift that. He acknowledges that he named those guys because of his love for the original stuff.
When you start looking at some of the really foundational creations from different creators, I'm thinking specifically like Akira, Star Wars. I mean, it could be even through the Matrix in this. It's amazing how much they just straight up lifted from other things.
Yeah.
Uh, it's like I think like Quentin Tarantino as a director, people have taken like his shots and be like, these shots are exactly like these shots in these films, and it's like it's almost shameless, but it's more of like an homage, and there's a respect to that.
Yeah,
You know,
I
that's
think
great.
when you do it and you acknowledge it, it's
Yeah, yeah. You're not intentionally ripping it off. You're tipping your hat.
Did you ever watch the America's Got Talent show on TV?
I've seen a little bit,
We
not a
used to
whole
watch it
lot.
because we had network TV, and it was just something that we could watch with the kids.
Right.
And you'd see all these guys that would be like, "Oh, this is our idea," and blah 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 blah. And you go online and look, and it'd be like, "Oh yeah, there's 5 groups that do this in Japan." And it's like if these people would just came out and say that we saw this in Japan and we wanted
Yeah.
to try to do it ourselves, I would respect them. But they come out and it's like, "This was our original idea." And it's like, no, it's not. Quit lying. There's a difference there that you can build off of what somebody else does if you acknowledge it. If you try to steal it as your own, then you're a liar. But
That makes me think. I'm just seeing if I can find it real quick. Bob Fosse in the 1974 film The Little Prince. He plays a character that, if you look at his portrayal, Bob Fosse's portrayal of that character, it's like everything Michael Jackson did. Like his mannerisms, his style, the way he moved. It's very much like they saw Bob Fosse's character and said, let's emulate that. And then going on further, like K-pop, that whole aesthetic is like Michael Jackson
oh
aesthetic.
yeah.
So it's great how things get inspired like that.
I mean, if you were gonna, if I was gonna say what's the biggest like Disney movie of your lifetime, what would you say?
The Lion King, and that's just see, that's
the
not inspiration. That was a ripoff.
that's the difference.
Yeah,
Disney didn't acknowledge it.
not at all.
They just stole it.
Yeah,
What's it? It's something in the White Lion. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, you know what I'm talking about. It's an old comic. It's an old manga from Japan, and they just completely stole it. And like, yeah, here's our original thing.
Let's see. It was called Kimba The
Kimba.
White Lion. Yeah, even Simba. Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
They didn't even try to hide it.
There.
Anyway,
We'll do a
back
show.
to Akira.
We'll do a negative show one time where I'll just come out and have 45 minutes of why I don't like Disney.
The
Let's
Disney takedown.
We'll stay off that for today. The other thing that Otomo was bigly, I sound like little baby Trump there, influenced by was like American film at the time. At the time that he was like working on the ideas for this, and when he started illustrating this, which was like Butch Cassidy, Easy Rider, Bonnie and Clyde.
Okay.
I saw an interview where he talks about all of those, and the Easy Rider was about kind of inspired him to be. I need to leave home and I need to go do something, and that's when he went out and started actually drawing comics. He left home. I think he even told his dad, like, cited Easy Rider. It's like I want to be like Easy Rider, because I guess he was probably. Right. I don't know if he left at 18 or if it was younger or older. I didn't see that. He left home and he committed to drawings, or just committed to like drawing comics full time, and said he's going to keep drawing and hope that led to a way for him to be able to eat. And
good on you. The people who do that sort of thing they're an inspiration, because my mentality leaving home was like, I'm going to go to college and I'm going to get a job.
Yeah, and if it didn't work out, I'm going to be back in the basement.
Yeah.
But he says that he styled a lot of the characters in Akira after like those kind of characters, like Butch Cassidy and Bonnie and Clyde and stuff like that. So, then I think one of his first works, is called Domu, and it was a manga about a child and an old man with ESP. So he was already onto this idea, but it was like all these characters lived in an apartment building, so it was like this kind of small world thing. And I think the way I understood the little synopsis of the manga is that like there were psychics in the building that were like fighting each other.
Okay.
But he started drawing and writing did that from 81 to 82.
Well, he started his career in 1973. And that was probably like when you're talking about, well, he was just like, well, I'm gonna make it on my own. So it took him about 10 years to actually get something going. Good on him.
After Domu, he went to work for Young Magazine, and then from 1982 to 1990, he started doing like a bi-weekly thing for them, and that was when he started doing Akira for them and doing it in little sections.
Just a quick comment about that is it's with the death of magazines, which we've seen the death of magazines. Yeah. That's one of the things that you can kind of lament their death because of that. They were a resource for creators to get their stuff published.
Yeah, that's where because now writers came.
Yeah, Stephen King started stuff. Dune started as a series, like in Dune, it's like book 1, book 2. Well, those books that's what he submitted to the science fiction magazine, and that's what they published.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know someone who wants to have something published now. They're really all they can do is put it online.
Put it online and
hopefully people see it.
Hopefully people see it and doesn't get stolen in a way that you don't have any rights to it, because that was the protection that happened through magazines at the time, is that they published it from Randy or from Joel, that we had that kind of umbrella protection that the magazine had, that you're not ripping this off, that it's acknowledged that it was our works and stuff. And you do anything online at this point, it's hard to tell. People will steal your stuff and then silence you and call you.
At this point, don't even worry about the people stealing it. It's going to be AI that that takes your information, puts it to the meat grinder, and spits it out somewhere else.
Yep. Yeah. But he was drawing 20 pages per chapter for the Akira, the bi-weekly thing, and was getting out 40 pages in a month.
Wow.
So he was just doing this, and
the machine.
It said that he stuck to a schedule where he was finishing his draft by Sunday morning for that week, inking it at night, like on Sunday night, and then dropping it off on Monday to be published.
Jeez.
And he had one assistant that would help like fill lines and shade backgrounds. And he drew directly on what he was going to submit. So it wasn't any like, I'm going to try this, and if I don't like it, ball this up. It was like he had it committed
to. It was committed from the get-go.
It's like, this is, once I start, this is this week's stuff. And nice. I guess if it didn't turn out right, I guess he always had it kind of thought out.
Do you know if he had like written out this story before, like how did he do
I don't
that?
know how. I never saw like if he had it written in a book or if he had it like storyboarded or if he had just notes. There's a couple times that they show like an interview with him where he has a notebook and it's literally like a thing you'd see like the notebook of like a serial killer, where it's just like
It's
all
all
these
over the
like little
place.
side
Yeah,
line this way and line this way and like little pictures and stuff. So I think he was probably doing it from a notebook
mm.
that he just probably
Yeah.
when he wasn't doing this, he's somewhere else thinking about it. And it's this dude
Yeah,
was
it's always interesting to see how different massively creative people go about it. Like some of them, like if they want to do something like Akira, they would have the outline, then the script, then the rough version of the page, then the final version. It's like there would be all these different iterations of it.
yeah
But then there are some people who can just sit down and be like, I'm writing the story.
yeah. I can't imagine being 14 pages into your thing and like screwing something up, drawing, and then like, eh,
Keep going.
I'll just keep going. But
Well, I've seen videos of artists where they'll draw like one thing, you think they're drawing one thing, but they're drawing another.
yeah,
It's like they change what the drawing is. And someone who really knows what they're doing when it comes to art, they're able to work with what's there.
yeah, yeah. If you're dealing inside the frames of a comic square and stuff, I'm sure you've got it kind of your points plotted out and stuff. And
Yeah.
I I still can't comprehend being that organized and having that kind of forethought to. I could think about like drawing one scene of what I wanted to draw, but just to have it progress,
Right.
that blows me away.
What no?
And then he got into because of the popularity. Like so, this thing went for 8 years.
It was like 2,000 pages all
Yeah, it's
when
two
all
thousand.
said.
I've seen like the books at shows and stuff.
Mhm.
They're huge. I don't know how many volumes they did it into. I think it said somewhere. I just didn't write that down.
They released a box set, which I own. I haven't gotten into it. It was one of those things I saw on Amazon. It was like $98 or something like that. It was like right at 100. And I was like, I've got to get it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's this massive thing, and it just I actually need to remove it off of the shelf because the bookshelf I have it on, I noticed is when I was looking at it, considering maybe I should read that. It's kind of bending a little because it's so heavy. So I need to remove it off that shelf.
but this kind of started him into to doing some anime instead of just the manga stuff.
And that's really unique. It's really unique for a manga artist
Yeah,
creator to be to head at least to head
yeah.
the creation of the anime.
He'd be part of like a storyboard team for like an animation department
Yeah,
in most other scenarios, but
right.
he decided I'm going to start making this into full movies. But
I, that's probably why the animation is so meticulously done is because he was in charge of it.
yeah, he
Yeah,
did segments for. I haven't seen Neo Tokyo.
right.
I think that's a um, not a montage. What do you call it? A collection. There's another word that I'm not coming up with, but um,
Yeah, there's
you
a
know what I'm
word.
saying.
It's not on my brain though.
And then he did Robot Carnival as well.
Yeah,
That are both anthologies.
and thought very good job, good job.
Hey, we get there sometimes.
There,
Sometimes
there's also one that I've only watched a couple of the segments. It's in space.
I'm getting to that.
Okay,
He did Neo Tokyo and Robot Carnival before
right,
he did Akira.
right.
Akira was 1988. From the success of that, of course, like everything, people saw that he made what at the time it wasn't a full $160 million made off of Akira, but he was making a lot of money off of it. Of course, the thing that every industry does is like, we need you to do more.
Right.
So he came back and did Memories, and I think that's the thing you're
Memories.
thinking
That's what I'm
of.
talking about. Yeah.
He did that in 1995, and I think that's
Yeah.
like three short films in one, but it's like they're all his. They're not Robot Carnival, Neo Tokyo. He did a piece in them. That some of them were from other artists and other creators, but
Yeah. I'm looking at Memories right now, and yeah, it's three short films really. Magnetic Rose, Stink Bomb, and Cannon Fodder. I only ever watched Magnetic Rose, and that's a trip. That's trippy.
yeah,
Very trippy. It's very cool.
yeah. And then from there, 2001, he wrote the screenplay for Metropolis.
Yep.
Which is based off of a 1949 story, and that's kind of the. I don't have that info. I'm sure we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But the Metropolis guy is kind of like he's kind of the godfather of manga and anime, pretty much, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then from there, the last thing he did was Steam Boy, and we'll talk about that later as
That's the
well.
last thing he's done.
2004, and because of the way that worked out financially, that was kind of the end of him doing stuff. He did a live action movie of Mushishi, and that's it.
Hmm.
And there's rumors of him. He was going to do a sequel to Akira that I think was like 2019, and I think the pandemic kind of derailed that. I'm not sure if that's even still out there, but this guy's like a super
Well,
meticulous guy. It's very detail oriented, and I don't think, um, from what I've understood with him, is I don't think I think that when he was in the world where you're hand drawing stuff and you're hand animating the movies, just that perfect time and place is what Akira was, where he put that kind of detail into it. Didn't spend as much money because he didn't have as much money to spend as he did on like Steam Boy, and then computer animation followed that. And I think it's one of those things that he tried to figure out how to kind of navigate and didn't. He's that old guy that didn't survive the change in the system, I guess.
yeah.
And he's
I I
it's a shame that you haven't seen any more stuff from him, honestly. But
I kind of put him on this in the same category as Satoshi Kon, because what he has, at least from what I've seen, seems really high quality. Seems really well done, and a lot of passion was put into it. But there's not a lot of stuff that he's made.
yeah, well, Satoshi Kon I think would have turned us out several more things by now,
If he didn't
but
die,
he died
yeah,
of he had some kind of aggressive cancer or something, I
yeah,
think.
something.
But Otomo is everything I've seen described. Talk about him describes him as a perfectionist, and I think it's just one of those things from all that those years of habit and drawing and all that stuff just coming into a world where like somebody wants to corporatize what you do and bring in 40 other people and animation CGI companies and stuff to do your work. I just don't think that was his thing, and he just didn't want to adapt to it or couldn't adapt to it. I don't know. I never found anything that kind of went into that detail.
I would love someone to do an interview with him and talk about AI art,
Yeah,
because if that is if the reason he kind of stepped away from the industry is it was going more um, automated with CG, and they were starting to take it from the hand drawn animation, lovingly curated, to 3D models that you can churn out. I bet this whole AI thing's just breaking his heart, man.
well, and I think when you get into actually talking about what a perfectionist is and somebody that kind of works on the level that this guy, kind of an obsessive level of work ethic that this guy has, Steam Boy was a pretty massive failure.
Yeah.
And I think that for a creator, especially like somebody like him, again, I don't know the dude, but I think that's one of those things that's a when you pride yourself on being really good at that one thing, like a lot of Japanese culture does. I think it might have been a pretty big blow to his
Ego.
ego,
Yeah.
to his mental health and his ability to want to create and all that kind of stuff. So, I haven't seen a lot of interviews that really took place much after Steam Boy, and they were kind of promotional interviews for Steam Boy. I didn't find too many things that were like after Steam Boy. So it kind of seemed like he was like, I don't know, he felt ashamed that his movie didn't do well or what, but he seemed to kind of just drift off after
So
that.
there are some there is a mentality some people can get where, like, you don't want it, fine, like,
Yeah,
hey, you know what, I put my heart and soul into this and it wasn't reciprocated, fine, I'm not going to bother.
yeah, and even that, I think that's still the American version of that is that you don't like what I have, then I'm not going to give you any more.
Yeah.
I think with him, it almost kind of feels to me like it would be like somehow or another a person that thinks that he failed people by not making something that was as popular, and
Yeah.
it's a
that
different.
that is definitely an East versus West.
Yeah,
I could see, because the Western perspective of that is, you know, you guys don't know what good I've
yeah.
given you. You don't deserve any more of what I
The
have.
Western perspective is
Yeah,
it's all about
it's
me.
all about
I'm the
me.
good guy, and
The
he's
Eastern
like,
would be like, I failed the audience, or yeah.
even when
That's
you get
a
back
shame.
to where he talks about like Akira, how like he made that for a Japanese audience, and he was surprised that Americans were that
Yeah.
they liked it. It was just that's a that mentality doesn't exist in Hollywood or in America, where I'm like,
Well,
I'm just going to make this for these guys that live down in the Appalachian Mountains. And
well, unfortunately, not that Americans don't appreciate um themes and commentary about culture that might be critical of them.
Yeah.
A lot of us are fine with that. Generally speaking, I think a lot of Westerners are very surface level. So looking at Akira and what it might have to say doesn't really bother us, or it doesn't really concern us. We're just like, hey, cool, this guy's a superhero.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
But yeah, that's kind of the background of this guy. Interesting dude. It's kind of a shame that the career kind of went the path that it did go, because
Yeah.
we'll get into talking about it with Steam Boy. It's not that Steam Boy isn't as good as Akira. It's better in a lot of ways. It just maybe story wise wasn't as good. Animation wise, it's, I think if you sit down and watch the two, watch Steam Boy again, I think a lot of people don't have Steam Boy really in their recent memory, just because it's not as popular of a thing. I don't think you hear people come back and talk about watching it. But if you see what he did from Akira to Steam Boy, you're like, man, he brought his A game to Steam Boy.
Oh yeah.
Um, but just it's a shame that he wasn't able to continue with other stuff after that. But
when I saw Steam Boy, I didn't know it was the same creator as Akira, and I'm gonna have to watch it again so we can talk about it. And watching it with the understanding that it was the same creator, I'm interested to see
I think
any similarities
the
or through
similarities
lines.
is in the forehead.
There you go.
There's really is what stands out. I can see this guy's
Tetsuo's
work and be
forehead.
like, that's this guy's work, is the way he draws heads.
Yeah, Tetsuo's cranium was huge.
It's a theme that carries into Steam Boy. I guess
Yeah.
some big old foreheads in that one too.
All right. Well, next we're going to talk about some of the themes that are in Akira.
Yeah.
And we'll be back with that.
All right. Later.